So it's finally here, the iPhone 6. What's going on, guys? Off the Bring TV here, bringing you another video. And this time, you guessed it, wanted to do an overview of the iPhone 6. Now, I know there's a plethora of reviews out there already for the device, but I wanted to give a little bit of a different perspective. I'm not really the biggest Apple fan, besides on the, I guess, mobile standpoint of things, like laptops, tablets, etc. But still, I want to give you guys an unbiased approach, and also a gamer's perspective of how the device performs for both games and how much of an improvement it is over the 5S. So as you probably already know, the iPhone comes in two models, the 6 and the 6 Plus. The one we're talking about today is just the 6, the 4.7-inch model, the iPhone 6 Plus at 5.5 inches. The 4.7 iPhone has a 1334 by 750 HD display. It is also IPS LCD and Retina. However, Retina is just Apple's fancy way of saying it has over 300 pixels per inch, 326 to be exact. And it has what they call an oliphobic, if I'm pronouncing that right, probably not. It's an oliphobic coating, which is supposed to be fingerprint resistant. I could say that it's smoother, definitely smoother than previous models, but finger resistant, not so much. The new 6 and 6 Plus is actually Apple's first device to include their new processor, which is the A8 chip, coming in at 1.4 gigahertz dual core, 64-bit. It's supposed to be 40% faster than the 5S. Benchmarks across the board are outperforming the Galaxy S5, believe it or not. The 6 coming in slightly better on benchmark scores than the 6 Plus, likely due to similar hardware, similar internals, but the smaller screen. As for the design, I really love what they did this year. They have the all-metal construction as usual, with the sapphire crystal on the camera lens and the sapphire crystal on the fingerprint scanner. But they went with a smooth edge this time, which can be a little frightening considering the phone feels a little like it could come out of your hand at any moment. And that's not only due to the edges being smooth, but the fact that the phone is so freakishly light and freakishly thin. I read something that they did this to make it more comfortable for gamers because it is supposed to be more comfortable for horizontal view, but it's just as scary horizontal, vertically, parallel, whatever. It's just, I would definitely put a case on this phone. I really am not huge on cases, to be honest. I usually try not to use a case. But this time, they actually nailed it with their official cases, so I went with the silicone one, as you can see here. And it really adds the added thickness that could have been in the phone and still passable while giving you a nice grip. The front of the screen is using their new Gorilla Glass, and because of the small edges, it almost gives like an invisible waterfall type approach to the front of the device. At certain angles, it almost looks like the screen falls off, and it's really nice when it's sitting at your desk. The official cases are also very vibrant in colors, and they have a pretty wide selection. I went with the silicone for the added grip, but also I've noticed that the silicone case is slightly thinner than the leather case. On the camera side of things, we have an 8-megapixel iSight camera with an f-stop at 2.2. Pretty fast lens, not as fast as the Samsung, but it does have improved face detection, optical image stabilization, which actually is a nice feature even in a DSLR lens, and a panorama up to 43 megapixels if you're into that type of stuff. Although less megapixels than the competitors, the camera is still very good. I mean, very good. It's actually much better than last generation Apple devices, and there's no more funny mirror images like with the 5S, and 1080p video still looks very crisp, and the 1.2 megapixel front camera is better than last year as well. Unfortunately, you still can't remove the battery this year, coming in at only 1,810 mAh for the iPhone 6. It's a pretty small battery. My electric cigarette actually uses a bigger one than that, but Apple's operating system does a pretty good job of limiting drainage, coming in at about 10% better than last year. It's not a huge improvement, but I would definitely say it's noticeable. However, I'm not going to say that you can game all day on it. It is pretty hard when using applications all day, and you still have to remember to turn off your Bluetooth when you're not using it and closing out those open background apps. That brings us over to the operating system itself. iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, of course, is using iOS 8. And it's as fluid as always, snappier than any device I've used. No more notification and search bar hiccups, and everything overall feels very, very smooth. I had Wi-Fi speed issues at the release, but it was pretty much fixed within patches with 8.12 or whatever all those releases were. There are still some quirks that need to be addressed, especially when you use third-party keyboards, but at least we can actually use third-party keyboards. I barely lived without using swipe, and I'm so glad I can now have that. Applications are a bit of an issue though, surprisingly slow to be updated. Even though Apple sacrificed resolution to be able to scale applications, some apps do it better than others, and it doesn't make them unusable or anything, but a frustratingly located button can take away from the fluid experience. Apple also included a pretty neat feature with its operating system called reachability. Basically what you do is you double tap the home button without actually pressing it, and the fingerprint reads it as accessing reachability. And what the feature does is it brings down everything on the screen so you can access pretty much anything with one hand or one finger. I don't find myself using it as much as I thought I would on the 4.7 inch, but I could see how valuable it would be on the 5.5 inch. It does have some quirks. After you press what you want, it will bring the screen back to its previous state, so you'll have to access reachability again. However, I am glad it's there, and it can come in pretty handy when you need it. Gaming itself, playing games such as Clash of Clans or Summoners of War, are actually smoother and clearer and crisper than ever, and I mean ever. I don't know what they did on the gaming front of things, and I know that the A8 is only supposed to be 40% faster than last year's model, but for whatever reason, gaming does not have as many issues as it did before. I can run more in the background without having to reload them, if that makes sense, and without causing them to have any type of lag or issues. And generally you need more RAM for that, but the processor seems to be doing the job. So whatever they're doing on the back end with the operating system, it's working. Me, I am an avid Clash of Clans player. I play it pretty much all day when I'm not at home on my device, and I can tell you right now that not only with the bigger screen, just everything from moving or scaling or seeing is way, way better this year on the new device. So on a gaming front, if you're looking to upgrade from the 5S for gaming alone, I would definitely recommend moving over to the 6. If you're looking for battery life and just application usage, I probably wouldn't move over, but that of course is up to you. You have to see if the bigger screen is worth it for you. Connectivity is pretty much the same. You know, you have your providers for 3G, LTE, and Wi-Fi. Of course, the new device uses AC receivers, but you're going to need an AC router to take advantage of that type of Wi-Fi connectivity. So in conclusion, I would like to say that I really like the new iPhone 6. I went with the 4.7 inch because I felt like the 6 Plus was a little too big for my liking. However, I have played with it and have used it, and it is great to have a bigger screen around 5.5 inches, but just the carry perspective of it, it's too big for me. The big screen is awesome, but just to carry it around, it just feels like I have a tablet in my pocket, but that's just me. The 4.7 seems perfect. Actually, I probably would like around a 5-inch screen, or maybe just a little bigger than the 4.7, but it's definitely fine. If you're not familiar with bigger devices or using tablets and you're moving over from the 5S, it's going to feel pretty big. The regular 6 is going to feel like a bigger screen. And if you try to go backwards, if you use the 6 for a little while and try to go back to the 5S or the 5, it almost feels fake. I don't know how I lived with the smallest screen, and I can't imagine any devices in the future being anywhere near the screen size that the older generation Apple devices were. Everything from gaming, using applications, watching movies, reading emails, sending text, everything is better with a bigger screen. So that's my overview of the iPhone 6. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And of course, as always, if you like videos like this, hit that subscribe button. But other than that, thanks for watching. Peace.